even in this day and age, startups have to navigate a maze of silos and single lanes to get their products exposed and test-bedded. And we as healthcare providers are not always easy to access, and we all use our own different evaluation frameworks. So really, the adoption and the spread of innovation in Singapore could be a lot faster and a lot less painful.
So we started thinking if we could assemble the consumers of healthcare innovation onto a unified platform, we would then convert those frustrating single lanes into an expressway, and what more if we got healthcare providers to use a common evaluation framework for test bidding and adoption. That led to the idea for Chisel, and with strong support from our partners, we kicked off the journey. The Chisel InnoMatch finalists have wonderful and quite stressful opportunities to pitch their products to Singapore's 3 healthcare clusters in just one seating in front of a live audience. These winners will be fast-tracked to become test bidding partners with our public healthcare institutions, and we are going to do our best to find great health innovations for Singapore.
Well, good morning everyone, and welcome back to the Centre for Healthcare Innovation, CHI, and to Healthcare InnoMatch 2023. I'm Hon Tim, the Clinical Director for CHI, and with me once again is Tamsin Grulich-Smith, the Director for School of X in Design SG Council. Welcome, Tamsin, once again.
Thank you, and thank you. Welcome. Good morning, everyone. It's the bit where you have to say something. Good morning. I think you guys are wired up. These guys still need waking up. And to those of you joining us online, good morning. Thank you so much for coming back this year. It's wonderful to be back after our little hiatus online for a couple of years ago, and really, I think, getting bigger and better every year. Right. We are very proud to be here today with thanks from Ministry of Health and Temasek Foundation, and also in partnership with our 3 public healthcare clusters, National Healthcare Group, National University Health System, and Sing Health. So this is the 3rd year running that Healthcare InnoMatch is here. It's a global innovation challenge which invites participants to pitch solutions to solve real-world pressing challenges and transform the future of healthcare. It aims to accelerate the adoption of market-ready healthcare innovations that are fit for mainstream use, to bridge that last mile from innovation to adoption at scale and at speed.
Fantastic. And this year we're very excited to share that we've had great participation from across the world, actually. So as you can see on the screen, 163 participants from over 28 countries. And we've narrowed them down to the 8 finalists. They're all sitting in this zone here. You can see that the blood pressure is a bit high, oxygen saturation a little bit lower. And they stand to win up to $2.4 million of funding.
Yeah, so absolutely incredible achievement. You guys, you should be very proud of yourselves. Be whittled down to the final 8, right?
Yes, and the theme this year is reshaping preventive care for a healthier population. So it's going to be a very intense competition, and we can't wait to see which projects will end up on top.
So, who is going to be judging us? We have an esteemed panel of judges here. They bring a wealth of expertise and experience to the table, and I think probably also a discerning eye, which you'll all be grateful for. They're going to let us know who's going to win the challenge this year.
Yes, thank you. They've been on display for the last 15 minutes, all right? But let's introduce them to you one by one. Starting from here, we've got Mr. Colin Lim, who's our Chief Information Officer and Group Director for Infocom Technology and Data from MOH. Colin, could you let us know, you're a veteran of InnoMatch. Could you share with us why do you think InnoMatch is crucial, and what is its role and challenges for the healthcare industry?
Good morning, everyone. Great to be here. So as Tim mentioned, this is my 3rd year running, being a judge in this thing. And the reason why I keep on coming back is, unlike many other startup competitions, this one's unique because it's about innovatively matching you with one of the 3 health clusters. And I think that's a key ingredient of the success of this. And then the other thing, just for this year, as you know, in Singapore, we've just launched Healthier Singapore in July. To date, we've had about almost 350,000 people have signed up. And on a personal note, I went for my own Healthier SG consult last Saturday. A very interesting experience.
Okay, walking the talk, Colin.
Yeah, role modeling, what we should all be doing. Thank you. Thank you so much, Colin. So next up, we have an old friend of mine and wonderful judge on the panel, Mrs. Chu Kui Tiang. She's from one of the healthcare clusters, Director of Population Health from National Healthcare Group. So Kui Tiang, maybe you can share what you hope to see from the finalists today.
Hi, good morning, everyone. This is my first time at InnoMatch, and a wise man says the future is here, right? But it is just not evenly distributed. And I'm very excited in a topic that we have chosen this year, which is preventive health, because we need to distribute the health of our people. And I think you great guys that have been going through all the projects, you have got great ideas, and we have great hope that you will help us to distribute health to the man in the street better, faster, cheaper, safer. And the most important, and being in the wellness business, the greatest challenge we have is activation. Because we can distribute all the technology out, we can do all the wonderful things, but if we cannot activate that man in the street to take ownership of his own health, I think the challenge will be even higher. So we hope that many of you will think about that. How can your technology take that one step further to help us activate the man in the street as well? Thank you.
Thanks, Kui Tiang. Wise words. I'm sure we all agree to that. Our next judge is again a veteran of InnoMatch. He's Mr. Lim Hock Chuan, the head of programs at Temasek Foundation. Mr. Lim, welcome back to InnoMatch. And as a veteran, do you have any words for our finalists? How can they make their pitches memorable? Oh, all right. Maybe you could switch that on. Yeah. Yes. All right.
Well, I think for those who are making pitches,
yes.
Judges usually try to look for 2 or 3 things. Number one, make sure you are very clear what is the problem you're trying to solve. Yeah, a lot of innovators will say, I can do many things, but what is the problem you're trying to solve? And what is the need? Number 2, I think, what is your unique value proposition in the product or innovation that you have? And number 3 is to say, if I'm successful and I win and I do all these things and roll out to market, how does success look like? Or what is a wow success? And then this will give the judges a sense of clarity about that you know what you're doing and that you have a way to get to a wow success. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Wonderful advice. I'm sure you will pick that up in your pitches. Thank you so much. And next judge on the panel, representing National University Health System is Joanne Yap, Executive Director of Regional Health System. So Joanne, any thoughts about what kind of impact you hope the pitches will show to you today?
Okay. Hi. I'm very excited to read through, the different products that are going to be tested. Hopefully, we'll get more people than less people. And our goal is to build a healthy community, and we want to do that by improving health and anchoring care in the community. So a lot of the products that I have read about really allow us to scale community and preventive health, and I hope that as we do that, we think about what is the last mile, because the last mile is about getting to the resident, not necessarily the patient, but the resident, to want to take it up so that they can be our partner. And we are actually there to help them. So I hope that the products that we're going to see later on from the companies will have this idea of what does it do for the patient or resident, and what is the operating model that is going to make it work as we scale things up. So pilots will remain pilots if we don't scale up. So the whole idea here is to make it big enough so that the community can gain access to it, and we have that scale and that tipping point
what we need is a tipping point. Yeah, thank you. All the best.
Thanks, Joanne. That's a nice segue to our next judge, who is Mr. Tay Hong Chun, CEO of the Health Promotion Board. So Joanne's already mentioned the community, and that's really important with this theme and, of course, with Healthier SG as well. So Chun Hong, what role do you think the community, what other roles can the community play in innovation?
Hi, everyone. Good morning. Very excited to be here and reading through the decks. Yeah, I can already start to imagine what the future can look like. In terms of community, I want to highlight one maybe shift in perspective that I think is quite important. I think so far, those of you who have been in health, we tend to look at the solutions and so on from an individual patient perspective, right? And then even HPB is like that, right? National Steps Challenge, individual participation. But the word community is not just saying that I now push it to the community. It's about situating it in the context of how people live their lives as part of a wider society. So from individual to family to groups, right, and various networks. So how might we start to think of our solutions expanding beyond individuals to a greater sense of societal inclusion and participation? And what does that look like? I think that is the key to unlocking preventive health, because individuals, if you leave their own devices, you only do so much, right? If you're a parent with young children, your children's needs take precedent, and you may not really think about doing your own physical activity and so on, right? But if you start to think of a family being activated together, maybe the participation rates will go up. So I think that's something that's quite important for us to think about when we start to talk about community. It's not just about pushing it to the resident and then now saying it's your responsibility, right? We always like to do that. But it's looking at how people live their life. What is the value proposition that we are delivering to them in that context? Thanks.
I love that collective design challenge statement thrown in there as well. Thank you so much. Okay, next up, delighted to welcome back from another healthcare cluster, Sing Health. We have Prof. Lee Chien Eun, Deputy GCO of the Regional Health System. And Chien Eun, any thoughts to share with the finalists here today?
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be back again. I think, like Colin, this is my third year. And it has been a pleasure and a privilege to be able to journey with our participants in trying to create, in a sense, a win-win-win kind of a solution for the provider, for the participant, especially for Singaporeans that can benefit from this. The reason why I think we come back year after year is that we hope that all participants, not just those who win today, will be able to take away something positive and something that will contribute to their own innovation journey. And we hope that through the interactions, through the inputs that have been given, that it can, like as Chun Hong says, help to contextualize it and make it more relevant for our residents and our people. Thank you.
Thanks, Chien Eun. All right, and last but not least, Ms. Ngiam Siu Ying is also fresh to the judging panel, although your organization has been a big part of InnoMatch for many, many years now. So, sorry about that. There's a lot of IT in all our finalists' proposals today. What are your thoughts on IT viability for this competition?
Thanks, Tim, and good morning to everyone. Very happy to be here. I will have to probably give a biased answer to Tim's question, given Synapse supports our public healthcare partners with their technology needs. But the reason why I'm excited to be here is because really when you think about healthcare transformation, transforming the way we provide care, technology is a major enabler of that. And if you ever want to try to do anything at any scale, technology has to be really part of that solution. Connected technology is a force multiplier. So I would say it's absolutely important that IT is viable, because when you look at solutions, you have to make sure that it operates well in the context that it needs to operate in, both from a technology standpoint when you need to integrate your technology, but also from a business standpoint, whether you can integrate it with the care models that are on the ground as well. So all the best to our finalists. Looking forward to seeing your pitches today, and good luck to everyone.
Great.
Thank you so much, Siu Ying. And to all of our judges, can we give them a big round of applause, because they've got some hard work to do today. So now let's shift our focus to actually the crux of the event and what we're going to ask for from our finalists. This is how it will work. Each finalist will present a 4-minute video pitch, followed by the scary part, an intense 8-minute Q&A with our panel of experts.
All right, and dear audience, you're not just spectators today, both whether you're here at CHI or online on Zoom. We need to hear your voice as well.
Yeah, we started off asking you to say good morning. That was your warm-up. You have to remember that you're not a passive audience today. You are going to be involved. So we're giving you the power to decide who will be the winner of the audience's vote. Of course, it has to be in your hands, right? So all you need to do, I believe we have a QR code for you that will allow you to cast your vote.
There it is.
There you go. Phones out, please. You're allowed to take your phones out at this point.
Okay, so here's the best part. You don't just have to vote for one. You can vote for as many companies as you would like. Your votes won't impact the judge's decision, we think. They've got this a tough job, and they'll be doing it on their own in a hot room somewhere else later on in a safe room. But you have the freedom to support as many solutions and as many companies as you believe in.
So you can put your votes where your heart lies. But without further ado, I think it is time to get started, diving into the heart of InnoMatch 2023.
All right, here we go. So our first finalist brings a solution that could change the game. The company is called Advanced Health Intelligence, or AHI, and they offer a groundbreaking digital biometric health assessment solution that revolutionizes health screening. So let's start off first with their video pitch. Let's play the video, please.
Traditional health screening in Singapore is failing us. It takes too long, it's too expensive, it hurts, and we're still catching chronic illness far too late. Our healthcare workers are burnt out. We've got hundreds of thousands of people living with undetected conditions, and those that have them don't have the tools to monitor effectively enough. So what if I could tell you we could screen biometrically 5 million Singapore residents in a single day? Well, we can. We do this using just a smartphone, no other equipment required. We're patent protected, meaning you can only get this technology through AHI. So how does this work? Our assessment has 4 stages. The first scan uses the front camera and remote PPG of the smartphone. We detect blood flow underneath the skin, estimating metrics like heart rate and blood pressure. The second scan uses the back camera of the mobile phone and PPG finger scan to understand metabolic rate and trigger the parasympathetic nervous system. The third scan places the phone on a table in front of you to capture front and side images to calculate dimension and body fat percentage. Lastly, we conduct a 3-minute step test to understand fitness and exercise exertion recovery markers. All these signals feed algorithms to generate a personalized health report that you can immediately download, covering 5 major health categories. End to end, it's a 10-minute process, and we risk stratify using a traffic light system for easy understanding. Each of these scanning components has been validated and researched by academic institutions and deployed in publications globally by very prestigious institutions. With this convenient smartphone accessible technology, we can increase early detection, we can improve health literacy, and we can reduce the impact of long-term chronic illness for Singapore residents. We're commercially active with some of the world's largest brands across global insurance, telehealth, and healthcare. Traditional methods depend on clinic availability. They can require over 168 minutes of consult time, and they can cost over $700 in Singapore. With AHI's biometric health assessment, each assessment can be conducted in 10 minutes, self-administered, and only for a cost of just $2. This is innovation. This is impact. Our POC targets 10,000 assessments across a period easily inside 6 months. With that, we expect to detect 2,000 early case referrals. We capture over 26,000 hours of clinical intelligence. At full scale, we can cover all 5 million Singapore adult residents. We'd identify over 1 million early detection referrals, and that intelligence would equate to over 13 million clinic hours. We support compliance with the most stringent international standards, and we work closely with partners to meet any required regulatory and security standards. we could save the country $440 million every year. The result? Early detection, more affordable medications and improved management of chronic conditions like diabetes, which we know is so prevalent here in Singapore. AHI can and wants to work with all MOH clusters. This revolutionary technology would offer 24/7 access to biometric screening using just a smartphone to every Singaporean resident, and that positions Singapore as a leader of modern healthcare. Choose AHI. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. What an inspiring start. So let's welcome on stage the CEO of AHI, Scott Montgomery. Hello, welcome, Scott. And also Ms. Sarah Haviland, the sales manager as well. Warm round of applause, please. So AHI, you've got 5 million Singapore residents on your radar. All right, let's start with the questions, shall we? So we know the judges, they're quite nice, so all the best. All right.
hope so.
Colin, first to go.
Hey, Scott, welcome to Singapore. Thank you very much for the exciting presentation. So my first question is, can you share more about the clinical efficacy of what you guys are doing? And then how do you see that being implemented in the Healthier Singapore workflow today? Thanks.
Sure, thank you. And thank you, everybody. We're delighted to be here at AHI. And actually, next month celebrates the 10-year anniversary of us being here in Singapore. So it's a very exciting time for us. Look, the clinical efficacy is what it's all about. What we do not want, excuse me, is false negatives, and we do not want false positives. So we work religiously with our clinical team and our research team to ensure that we're hitting the bar of a 90% sensitivity base, because it's not just about accuracy. We've got to have sensitivity, specificity, and accuracy. All of the individual components that we've pulled together have thousands of research and academic hours behind them to independently validate their accuracy, sensitivity and specificity. We currently have a project with Stellenbosch University out of South Africa to validate the BHA at scale, as well as Monash University in Australia, doing exactly that to continuously validate and ensure that we're meeting those high standards of 90% plus of sensitivity, etc. To provide access to this technology, it's very important that we remove friction points. And so to offer this in an SDK, a software development kit, means that we can augment existing systems and existing relationships that have already built trust. So that SDK deploys inside that technical environment. It is available through a smartphone, Android and iOS, and with that access through that existing trusted relationship, we can offer this biometric screening through any mobile phone here in Singapore.
Thanks, Colin. Joanne, over to you. Any questions for the team?
This is a very exciting So this is a very exciting project. I am wondering how you intend to operationalize your products in Singapore. What is your distribution mechanism? And maybe you can just share on that.
Sure. So you go second. The availability of the technology going into these existing technology relationships is important, and we're commercially active around the world already. So working with pharmacy chains, telehealth providers, working with other healthcare providers and corporate offerings is an SDK plugin. So it's a software development kit deployed inside a technology solution, meaning that the control of that technology in the UX we can influence and we can recommend and suggest, but ultimately that sits with our partner. And so that technology sits inside that relationship through the application with that existing user base. Do you want to add to that, Sarah?
I think you answered that beautifully. So you took the words out of my mouth. Thank you. So what I'm hearing you say is that you expect that some companies or clusters will adopt your technology, and then we will, in a way, then redistribute it to our residents, our patients, and then they can then onboard it. So it's more like a B2B. So you don't expect individuals to sign up to your application directly.
That's exactly correct. We are a B2B model, and we have been used by other corporate institutions, insurance in particular, for a customer access or acquisition. So we're there to activate, we're there to bring people inside that existing relationship. We are not a branded solution for market. We augment and we empower those existing relationships. So that can be bringing people into those environments. It can also be offering additional features and function to that existing relationship.
Okay, thank you.
Great, Thanks. We still have some time for more questions. Any more questions from any of the judges? Yes, Yuri. Yes.
Thanks very much for your pitch and proposal. I wanted to pursue this clinical efficacy question a little bit more. I read somewhere in your materials that you do not feel your solution requires HSA or FDA approval because you feel it's not a diagnostic tool. But that then requires a clinician to be in the loop. Clinician intervention is necessary. And when you're trying to reach a 5 million population, clinician intervention for 5 million population is somewhat difficult to scale because that's really the shortage of resource. So maybe explain a little bit your ambition for this product.
Yeah, certainly, yeah. Look, and I think it's important here that we're here to empower that health professional capacity. So we're trying to scale and introduce that expertise into the hands of everybody that is utilising the technology. So we are capturing information, we're risk stratifying based on scientific literature, which ties into that accuracy and sensitivity, and then we're giving that user the information then and making suggestions that go and see the health professional. So we're not the diagnostic, we're not the pathology drawer, we are not the clinical instrument that is used for that treatment protocol. What we're doing is introducing that relationship based on need. So we're removing the screening requirement from an individual to think, you know, I should go and see a doctor. Now we can give them some guidance on some highly repeatable and structured protocols to then get those people in need in an earlier phase of risk inside the health professional for them to conduct their own investigation. So we're additional information for the user to give them a sense of urgency or comfort to then introduce a consultative relationship at a time of need in an earlier base.
Thank you.
I think, if I may just add on to there, that word empowerment has been really important, and hopefully that shone through our submission. How do we empower Singapore residents to take better ownership of their health and care for themselves? And I think, you know, Scott and I and the team really took many hours thinking about how do we create that sense of empowerment to the Singapore residents. And we believe that comes through two things, and that's create confidence and create trust, create support and create confidence. And I think we do that through ease of use for the technology. It's on a mobile phone. It's something that we're all very used to using, and it's a very easy 4-step method for the biometric health assessment. So create confidence to create empowerment to the Singapore residents.
We've got a minute to go. Colin, one last question? Yep.
Thanks. Since I had my easy first question, let me ask a tougher one.
Okay.
A lot of the deep tech, high-tech companies have invested in wearables technology. Why is your technology as good, if not better, than Apple, Google, or a Ring? Tell us about that.
So the accuracy here is a point. We've got the 3 triangles of healthcare. We're trying to maintain quality, we're trying to reduce cost, and we're trying to improve access. So the quality is not on the table for compromise. So one thing that we do outside of the wearable community is that everyone in this room has a mobile phone in their pocket, at least one. Not everybody in this room has a connected device. So if we're trying to activate communities, if we're trying to get early detection, we need to offer additional capability to existing tools. And I think the point here is that you can sit at home, you can have a thought, and in a space of 60 seconds, you can conduct a vital assessment. If you conduct that through to a 10-minute protocol, you can have 5 health categories, 41 biometric readings, and 61 outputs through a mobile phone in the comfort of anywhere you choose. Wearables cannot do that. I think they produce some excellent access to information. They can produce a gateway to some encouragement, but it's not always there in that depth and that breadth, and that gives the confidence to that user to say, I'm going to go and see somebody, or I'm going to link into telehealth. So we're connecting that bridge from everybody. This is a quality of access, and that's important because we don't have distribution of access to healthcare equally, and we're introducing that equality of access into healthcare.
Okay, thank you very much. Time's up. You're off the hook now, Scott and Sarah. Round of applause for them, please. Thank you, judges.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, we can kindly invite you to vacate your seats for the next victims, finalists. So that's been an exciting start. And you can see when the judges warm up, they get a bit more discerning. So get on your toes, everyone. Okay, First team down, let's move on to our second finalist. This is BioBeat Technologies. They'll be presenting an AI-driven remote patient monitoring platform with wearable devices that could measure 13 vital signs in real time. So let's take a look at their video and find out a little more.
The goal of an efficient and affordable healthcare system is getting increasingly difficult to meet as we move towards an aging population coupled with limited hospital bed capacity and tight healthcare workforce. As Singapore moves closer to 20% of our population being older than 65 years and having a heavy reliance on foreign nurses, bed crunch and nursing crunch are now big problems which require creative solutions. Elderly patients generally require more frequent vitals monitoring with longer ward time. These piles on a worsening nurse-to-patient ratio due to higher nurses' attrition rate. With manpower accounting for 60% of Singapore healthcare costs, time optimization is the key towards our goal. New technologies can redirect nurses' time and expertise towards patient care and decision-making, leading to improved patient outcomes and greater job satisfaction among our healthcare workers. First, in an inpatient setting, BioBeat is able to automate vital signs monitoring and alert. This will increase productivity and focus of nurses to deliver timely quality care. Secondly, the availability of remote monitoring support removes the limitation of hospital infrastructure. Patients can be discharged earlier with BioBeat and be monitored by the hospital at-home team. This revolutionary approach redefines the boundaries of healthcare accessibility and quality. Based on our preliminary projection, vital signs remote monitoring may offer a cost-effective solution compared to current operations. Next, my colleague Tamir will take over to share more on the BioBeat technology.
Thank you, Pamela. Now let's introduce the system. BioBeat capitalizes on its own sensor developed internally in its IP-protected collective vital signs in a much more robust and accurate manner when we compare ourselves to the other manufacturers today. Those are the vital signs that we are collecting from the single device. We are collecting the temperature, the saturation, continuous blood pressure, pulse rate, respiratory rate, stroke volume, and cardiac output, and additional ones, as you can see right here, which 7 of those parameters are already been cleared by the FDA, and BioBeat currently the only company in the world that has obtained FDA clearance for continuous blood pressure measurement for a cupless device. As you can see right here, our go-to-market in each territory that we are working in is to find a local distributor to obtain the certificate in the local market to carry on all commercial activities and launch the product into the market. Currently, we have the HSA approval for a Singaporean market by EASMED. So BioBeat is uploading vital signs collection by information with a single device being placed on the patient's chest and sending the data directly to the EMR without any manual task needed. It's being capitalized on the sensor paired with adhesive cord. Each sensor collects vital signs for 5 days, which you need to replace the adhesive every day, and we deploy gateways in each patient's room to collect the data from 5 different devices together. And we have the linkage to the BioBeat cloud. From that point, we can scale up operations quite fast and easy because everything is built on a cloud solution, and the data can be viewed from the BioBeat platform. Those are few of the different views within the BioBeat platform, which capitalize on macro-level view in the system, patient portfolio, and live monitoring screen that you can look for a single patient, several patients together, or to monitor the entire department together. BioBeat already tested the system worldwide, globally, in many countries in the world, and we welcome you to reduce the staff burnout and improve the level of care. Thank you.
Well, there we go. I'm sure we're all very keen to find out a little more. I'd like to bridge the miles and use technology and take us back to the good old days of 2020 by inviting Tamir Rave to join us online via Zoom. He's coming from Israel. Tamir is the sales development representative of BioBeat. And here we're joined in person by Pamela Lowe, who's the associate sales manager from EASMED. So I think, do we have Tamir here?
Yes, hello
Tamir,
everybody.
welcome to Singapore.
Hi Tamir.
Okay.
Hello everybody.
So I'm gonna kick the questions off. Perhaps if I can come over here to Su Ying. Any burning questions to ask the team?
Sure thing. Hi Tamir, hi Pamela. Thanks so much for being here this morning.
Maybe I'll just cut to the chase. My main question is, what differentiates you from the other products that are also in this space? I think we've seen many proposals. You're the second one today that uses PPG tech. We've seen a range of accuracy, sensitivity, specificity. Your solution requires a bespoke device in use. I'm wondering, whereas other people are, trying to use a mobile phone as a device for collecting data. So I'm wondering what makes your solution so much different, and what's your unique value proposition that you bring to the table? Thanks.
Good. So I'm going to take this answer. So basically, the area of medical monitoring is differing in two different areas. One, there is all the Apple Watches and Fitbit and all of those wellness devices that are not regularly monitored or got all the regulatory framework to operate on a medical grade. Then we have all the medical grade parameters being obtained by Philips monitor, but they are often to be very large and cumbersome solution that the patients suffer from. The spaghetti effect, that have all of the connectivity and bunch of devices that need to be connected in together. Babit offers a single device that's being placed on the patient's chest and collect all of the clinical picture that the medical staff needs to do or get for base their decision, the medical decision, and they're doing so from a single device that's being placed on the chest. And that's it.
Anything to add, Pamela? Or?
So thank you for the question. So I think for BioBit it's a bit different because of the FDA approval that it has gotten. I think in a lot of cases there are a lot of continuous monitor device, especially for blood pressure, that has been facing difficulties getting the clearance. So that is the part of the confidence that's given to the users. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Shiana, I see you looking deep in thought there. Any questions to grill the team with?
Yeah, because I understand that this solution is more in the institutional base. So how do you see this being done in the community, in the patient, in the residents' homes and things like that? Because from what I understand, it involves continuous monitoring and things like that. But in the patient's homes, it's not necessary for us to have continuous monitoring.
Thank you for the question. So the adoption will be based on the hospital at home system that can be deployed out. So for example, we do have in Singapore, the standard of care in terms of taking care of the patient is actually one of the strongest suit for our healthcare system. So we can actually discharge the patient earlier by putting them on a hospital at home patch so that their vital signs will be monitored continuously. So the need arises because when it's monitored continuously, we are able to see trends out of it. We're able to see what is the patient's condition, and in any case, if they are under any forms of medication, we can also see the efficacy of how the medication is taking on the patient.
Just a follow-up question, because is there an option of turning it on and off? Because even in a hospital, unless you are in the ICU or whatever, we may not do continuous monitoring. It may be vital signs monitoring four times or 4 hourly and all those things. So is there such an option? And if there is, then how is this achieved?
Yes, there's such an option. So for example, myself, I'm wearing a patch now. So by pressing it for about 4 seconds, I can just turn it off. And then when I turn it on again, I just got to connect it to my mobile phone when I'm at home. And then the data will be sent to the cloud. And the hospital at home team in the hospital premises will be able to look at the data on the dashboard.
Tamia, I'm conscious that you're here. Anything to add to this conversation?
And I need to ask the question everyone's been thinking about. Are those your parameters behind you on the screen?
No, I don't think I have enough nerve to put my screen, my vitals on screen right now, but I think maybe Pamela can show you her own with the tablet. But yeah, just to follow up on what Pamela said, Babit also supports with basically a wide range of devices, but we pitched in the InnoMatch solution based on our hospital at home and inpatient setting device, but we also operate on a watch-like device that you can do it basically worldwide solution to more for chronic condition management. You can distribute that to the population of the Singaporean patient population, and basically monitor them more continuously for months and even years for any kinds of chronic condition management program that you are operating with, COPD programs and CHF programs, and so on.
Thank you. If there's any last question, we could probably take
Yeah,
a quick one. Yes,
I'm very curious about the hospital-at-home model. And could you elaborate more on what is the cost-benefit analysis, right, of such a model? Because I think there is a lot of potential in that space. You can discharge a patient earlier, but then more of at-home care and so on. So because I didn't see in your deck, so if you could elaborate more on that.
Okay, so when it comes to hospital prices that we are staying, like for example, an additional stay in the hospital, it can cost up to 1,000, including the opportunity cost that we are talking about as well. So for BioBeat patch, the fixed cost is actually on the patch on its own, which is about $49. Right, the patient can head back home, they can be with their family, they don't have to occupy the hospital bed, even their food and everything can be taken at home, right? So when it comes to that, one of the biggest change is actually on the manpower cost, right? Because nurse crunch is real and our reliance on nurses is ever increasing, and with our reliance on foreign nurses and the remunerations competition internationally, it actually add on to the cost to the hospital stay, right? So when we move them back home, we can actually be able to deploy any needs of hospital care that we need by sending up the ambulance if there's a need to, through the early warning score that can be reflected on the BioBeat patch as well.
I hope that answers the question because time is about up. Tamir, thank you so much for dining in this morning, and Pamela for joining us on stage, and thank you for the questions, everyone. Let's give them a big round of applause, please. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, BioBeat. All right, from across the oceans, Israel in particular, let's hear from our next finalist, CardioCall. So their solution is called Using Voice to Save Lives, and it aims to prevent strokes and chronic complications through voice-based markers for telemonitoring and screening. So let's have a look at their video.
Among older populations, millions of strokes each year are related to AFib, atrial fibrillation, creating huge healthcare and social burdens. Yet with timely detection and management, most AFib-related strokes can be prevented. The problem is that AFib is often intermittent, asymptomatic, and unrecognized. Early detection requires frequent, ongoing, age-friendly testing over years. That's exactly what we do, just by listening. CardioCall automatic software applications for smart devices and for telecom clouds enable mass prevention of strokes. CardioCall apps detect AFib through voice interfaces that most older adults already use, regardless of speech content, language, and identity. The CardioCall algorithm identifies the chaotic pulse rates that indicate the onset of AFib. Just listen. The CardioCall app runs seamlessly in the background.
Hi, I'm good, thanks. Will you be joining me for a walk?
During AFib, chaotic blood pulses through the larynx alter voice properties.
Sounds great. I'll bring the dog with me.
The speaker felt nothing, but the app identified AFib. Once detected, the user is offered actionable steps and the option of sending alerts to caregivers. CardioCall's next app for telecom clouds will remotely screen broad populations at risk, including landline phone users. That means we can help prevent millions of strokes just by listening. CardioCall, a deviceless passive solution at negligible cost per end user, providing frequent testing over decades for significant and silent AFib burdens, along with instant access to hundreds of millions of older adults at risk. It's a scalable new dimension in preventive telemedicine that extends and augments other methods. It's Cardio Call. Just listen to your heart.
Hello, my name is James Amir, and I'm the CEO of Cardiocom. Now, after seeing our amazing technology, imagine if you could have your smartphone or smart speaker analyze your voice in the background for a vast range of diseases, including blood pressure, and then, if something was picked up, automatically arrange a meeting with your physician. Already today, we have a CE-approved product ready for market that takes just 2 voice samples a day for 4 seconds on a landline or mobile phone. Results are provided to the physician directly into the EMR or via PDF. The product is GDPR ready and has numerous ISO approvals for data protection and costs less than 10 Singapore dollars per month per patient. CardioCall solution takes 200 voice features from over 7,000 features using signal processing and combines this with deep learning and analytics to not only detect new diseases, but to also monitor the duration of existing diseases. The impact could be immense in saving people from millions of strokes and other severe complications just by using our cost-effective software. In Singapore, this fits nicely into the Healthcare SGE Prevention Initiative and can save at least 50 million Singapore dollars every year. Our GTM as a B2B2C company is to work with the healthcare providers in the short term and the tech companies in the mid to long term. Wouldn't you feel more secure with CardioCell's elderly-friendly solution, knowing that you have a high probability of developing a stroke? Our ask is a commercial product in Singapore that will save at least 1,000 victims from stroke every year. Thank you.
Well, that's a very intriguing solution. So please welcome onto the stage the CEO of CardioCall, Mr. James Amirud. And joining us online will be Mr. Pini Sabak, all the way from Israel as well. Can we have Mr. Sabak online? That's great. Hi, Pini, can you hear us and see us? Great. Okay, so let's start with the questions. Joanne, questions
Hi,
for CardioCall.
Shalom.
Yeah.
Hello. You are very new to Singapore, so I'd like to know, how do you intend to actually operate out of Singapore?
Okay, well, first of all, our first stage is to do a pilot. And from then, based on the success of the pilot, hopefully, then to take a local representative, because we're a B2B company, and we're not a B2C direct company. And that's how we plan to operate here.
Okay, so your product is currently used by some companies?
Our product is currently approved in Israel and approved in Europe, and we're in the formats of an agreement in Europe with a representative of Philips and Boston Scientific.
Okay, so I'm just wondering, in Singapore, we have a lot of local slang, and we don't talk the way that you guys talk. And because you are using voice, I'm wondering if your technology needs to be enhanced or modified, to suit the local language.
Yeah, so basically the first product that we've launched is a product that uses the word A, the letter A actually, twice a day for 4 seconds. So we decided, when you talk about voice, everybody thinks voice is very creepy. Someone's listening to me, someone's going to do something with it. So we decided, especially as the first product approved for Europe, is to take the letter A. So there's no listening or free speech in the first product. That will be in the following products.
Okay, and would that be part of the testing that you would do in your pilot?
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Okay. Maybe I should leave time for other people to ask some questions too.
Sure. Great question, Joanne, seeing whether the algorithm can overcome Singlish. Okay, Hock Chuan, over to you. Any questions for CardioCall?
Well, this is a very interesting innovation. You found a clever way to monitor AFib just in the background. Is this monitoring continuous?
No, it's not monitoring continuously. According to an enormous study that was just published this year called the Stroke Stop Study, with 30,000 patients, the advice is to do it a few times every day for long periods of time.
That's the true drawback today with an ECG, that the period of time is limited, and therefore actually the detection yield is less than 5%. So the actual conclusion from that study, besides the cost effectiveness, is to do it daily, a few times a day, but over long periods of time in order to pick up when a person develops atrial fibrillation, because not everybody will develop it from day one.
Yeah. Well, it solved the problem partway because over a few days and so on. Because AFib is still intermittent, and when it occurs and you're not talking, you still won't pick it up, right? But assume you are successful and you scale this to 2 million people. The fact that you're monitoring it 5 times, 6 times, depending on the patient, what is going to be your limiting factor for you to scale? Is it going to be your virtual server space, your cloud capacity, or your technology, or what?
Well, actually, it's software only, so scalability, as you could see, is not going to be a major issue. But of course, each time it won't jump from 1,000 users to 1 million users. That will need to be scaled up, of course, on the reach of things.
So when an AFib occurs, what is captured?
So what is captured is the abnormal heart rhythm. What we actually look at is the R to R. Basically, the R that you see in the ECG. The distance between them, when it's chaotic, we are able to pick that up.
Yeah. And what is in the report that you send to the clinician or the doctors?
So we pick up the report that the patient actually has abnormal heart rhythm, meaning that they got suspected AFib. And then we send that either directly into the EMR or by PDF to the physician, and the physician can see exactly what's happening and then decide what are going to be the next steps. So at the end of the day, it's up to the physician's discretion, once he's got that information, he or she, to decide what next they want to do. If they want to do further follow-ups, if they want to do an ECG, or whatever needs to be done.
So in your business model, would a clinician or anybody be charged for multiple occurrence or reports that's triggered by your system?
So our system is basically a SaaS model. It's a monthly based system, and that's what the person, so it doesn't matter the number of times that the patient actually does the test.
Okay.
I just wanted to ask the business model and a bit of the operating model, right? Because if you are doing B2B, and let's say you have 100,000 people on this device, who is going to do that monitoring? Because the doctor is going to be too busy and he won't be able to receive alerts that's coming in all the time, right? So in the experience that you have with the other companies and countries, how do you kind of overcome that piece, the monitoring piece?
Yeah, great question. So at the end of the day, what happens is it's fed back into the EMR. And it can issue alerts, as you mentioned, but it can be the office assistant or the nurse or someone at the end of the day, depending what is the finding.
Maybe this is something that, as part of the trial, there's a need to establish this part of the process as well. Yeah.
Just follow up a little bit on Joanne's first question. Do you expect the Singapore populations, when you do the trial, to be different from, say, a European population? Because there are 10 ways of saying A, I, I don't know.
Yeah, so we don't suspect any differences at all. When we did the testing, we've got clinical trials in over 700 patients, also in the community for a long period of time. We've also done a pilot, also in real life, a commercial launch. And then patients have come from a lot of different backgrounds as well, speaking a lot of different languages. So how you pronounce the letter A is not the issue. The issue is, at the end of the day, the abnormal heartbeat that's actually picked up in your voice.
All right. Yes, more questions. We've got about a minute to go.
Yeah, just a quick one. I was wondering about level of adoption or compliance by the patient. Because if it's listening behind passively, there's a creepiness factor. If you require the patient to trigger a reading 4 times a day, in all likelihood, that's not going to happen. So what's your view on that?
So our recommendation is to do it twice a day. That's what we've done in clinical trials. We did it even 3 times. In the community, our compliance was over 85%. So basically, it's not only you say the letter, you get a prompt, you say the letter A for 4 seconds, that's it. It's very user-friendly. It's able to talk and communicate to you also verbally. So it's not just a plain text message.
All right, thank you. So time's up. It does seem to have a bit of a commonality between this solution and the one before, BioBeat, where they provide the technology that provides the data, and then we've got to co-design a health system around that. Okay, thank you very much. A round of applause for James and Penny from Cardiff Hall. So that's our third finalist, and it's time to look at number 4. Yeah.
Heading towards a 15-minute break, I think, wow, we're all ready for that. A lot of excitement this morning. So our final pitch before tea break will be from Neurowiser. They have a digital brain function screen, DBFS as they call it, which combines neuroscience and AI to enable early detection, monitoring, and prevention of brain decline. I feel like I maybe needed that.
We both
today.
do, yeah.
Okay, let's watch the video pitch.
The brain. Only 1.4 kilograms, but it controls every process that regulates our body. Yet, do you know how healthy is your brain? My guess is no. The reason we don't know is we lack the right tools. Today, clinicians rely on 2 types of solutions. First, pen and paper tests, which suffer from tester bias and are inefficient to administer. These tests do not allow for frequent use. Second, expensive machines like MRIs and CT scans scan for brain structure only. They are inaccessible because they must be used within hospital walls. Such methods are not sensitive enough for early detection and monitoring. Brain decline can start as early as in our 30s. Without early detection, brain function worsens to become serious conditions like dementia, which will cost the world $2.8 trillion by 2030. Dementia is starting younger. 30% of cases seen at the NNI are under 65. Their youngest patient is only 40 years old. As with all health, early detection and intervention is critical. This is also in line with Singapore's Healthier SG program to target and intervene early to prevent the onset of chronic diseases. Another consequence of brain decline is stroke. Globally, there are 15 million new stroke patients per year, 9,000 of which are based in Singapore. Without suitable measurement tools, clinicians are unable to judge how well a patient is recovering after a stroke. This is why we created the digital brain function screen. It is objective. It comprises gamified neuroscience puzzles, after which it produces a medical report within 1 minute. It is a medical-grade tool that has gone through clinical validation and is registered with the HSA, FDA, TGA, and many more to come. It is affordable. It can be self-administered and does not require specialists or specialized equipment. As a result, it may cost 8 to 10 times lower than existing tests. It is accessible, taking 15 to 20 minutes to complete. Hosted online, it can be accessed through a browser and completed anywhere. It is suitable for broad population usage and available in multiple languages. We can roll it out in a month. DBFS can be used to screen for people at risk of early cognitive decline. Today in Singapore, the DBFS is used in the ILTC sector for CREST screening programs by OJOY. It can be found in health screening packages in primary care organizations like Satacom Health and hospitals like Farrer Park. We recently completed a pilot with Apollo Hospitals in India. DBFS can also be used to monitor post-stroke or post-surgery patients during rehab. With thousands of versions, it can be administered frequently with no learning effect and no ceiling effect. DBFS is already a commercial product. Our target audience are healthcare providers, nutraceuticals, and pharmaceutical companies. We sell directly and through medical distributors. With a recent round of funding by Sequoia Capital and Jungle Ventures, and in partnership with MedTech Innovator Asia Pacific, we're actively expanding in Southeast Asia and India. We're looking to the US for our next phase of growth. The DBFS is hosted on AWS, and we're able to set up within a week in any new country. We can open APIs to integrate into any major EMR system. We have ISO security and quality management system certifications. We're thus ready to discuss integration into government systems and deployment through hospital apps like HealthBuddy. Please work with us to use DBFS as a population health tool to discover the at-risk population and design and coordinate RHS-wide intervention. We would like to partner with you to use DBFS as a rehab tool to monitor progress and intervene early. Thank you.
Thank you, Neurowiser. So I'm delighted to welcome to stage, we have Zuyun, Chief Executive Officer, and Navij, the Chief Digital Neuroscientist from Neurowiser. Welcome on stage. I'm going to invite Kui Tiang to kick off the expert panel questions, please. Thank you, Kui Tiang.
Hello. I'm very excited to learn about this product. And in fact, when I read about this, I Googled, right? And it's already a product available in the market. So my question would then be, what is the intent if you get to do the test bedding, right, with the organization? What would be the intent and the objective of that test bedding? What would you want to find out? That's one. And would you have a target population in mind? By the way, when you talk about brain health screening, it frightens some people, because, Singaporeans don't like to go for health screening for some reason. And then now you tell me I'm not so clever or my brain is not so good, they may not want to find out. So that would be a thinking that we have to go through, and how do we then get people to accept brain health screening? Thank you.
Thank you. I think the thing about healthcare innovation is that it doesn't occur in a vacuum. And a company like ours can come up with a product, but to make sure that it's effectively adopted requires clinicians buy-in, patient buy-in, and especially for a test like this, policymaker buy-in. I think that's why we're here today as part of InnoMatch. We are already a commercial product with some players, but in order for it to scale, we need to understand how clinicians would use it in the day-to-day use, whether it's in health screening or in stroke prevention. We need to work out the clinical practice guidelines. When do you monitor? How often do you monitor? And what age do you monitor? And I think finally, that last question impacts policymakers. For health screening and preventive care, there are two extremes. You either don't monitor or don't screen at all, in which case the cost to society is very high, in this case for dementia and mental health and stroke. But on the other hand, it is also possible to over-screen. And by over-screening, we cause concern in the community, and we also inundate our polyclinics with too many false positives or too many concerned people. So I think being part of InnoMatch, our aim is to be able to see how do we scale it across clinicians, how do we also interact policymakers to see which is the right age for us to start screening for brain health. Because as you say, brain health is very scary. I mean, the good thing about the last 2 years is that there's increasing conversations about mental health. There's also increasing awareness about how scary dementia could be. Right? So how do we educate the population? What are the educational materials do we have to give out to encourage people to be aware that our brains matter? So these are all the things that we would like to do through the InnoMatch process.
And may I also ask a little bit about your business model? Because you did mention about a subscription model, is it?
Yeah. So ours is a B2B2C model where we sell the tests to the healthcare providers at a volume, per test volume level. We are open in the future as we scale to do it on a per institution level as well. Right? As a software as a service, volume matters. So the more volume that we get, the cheaper it will be.
Thank you.
Thank you. Colin, any questions from you?
You've done some early adoption tests with Singapore healthcare providers, Farah, SATA, Parkway. Can you share more about what you've done there? What has been the clinical workflow, and what are the results so far?
So currently we are with OJOY, which is an LTC provider. They are using it for outreach in their CREST programs to encourage people to come in so that they can then continue the case finding. With the primary care level, we are with SATA ComHealth, we're with Parkway Shenton, and they've included us in the health screening packages. Initially, because it's a new product, they introduced it as a standalone product. Then SATA ComHealth, one of the great partners that's very innovative, came up with a health screening product, health screening package for people above 50s. And now we're starting to include it into other health screening packages as well. So the workflow is such that because we're only on a browser, a link is created, the person clicks on it, does the test, and they close their browser, and a report is created immediately that goes to the doctor, and the doctor is the one that interprets it for the patient. I think once again, it's very important not to not to scare the patient by delivering the report directly. You want the doctor to be the interface to explain and also to suggest next steps.
Can you share a little bit more about the numbers involved? So how many tests or emails have you sent? How many respondents? How many follow-ups by the doctors? And after the doctor's seen the report, what happens thereafter?
Sure. Thanks, Colin. I can answer that question. Regarding the clinical follow-up or the next steps, generally because it's a primary health screening, so we have a lot of the doctors first look at or investigate further some of the existing comorbidities, should there be one, especially hyperlipidemia, high cholesterol, diabetes, which is very high in Singapore. Correct for those things, advise the patients to improve lifestyle conditions, come back in about 6 months, redo the test to make sure and observe that the brain decline or any early sign of decline is not linked to a comorbidity or any deoxygenation to the brain, which then the third step, if that were to be proven true, is a referral into the neuro specialists or neuro departments for further checks to be done. So with most of our partners, even with the surgery specialists at Mount Elizabeth, for example, or even with Satacom Health, we have doctors to investigate lifestyle conditions first to improve lifestyle modification, and then looking and observing any other health irregularities with the patients who come in.
We have around a minute left if there's any last questions from anyone here.
I think following up from Colin's question, because the test takes around 15 to 20 minutes. So how many clients or how many people has this been tested on? I think I didn't hear that. I may have missed it.
Sorry, do you mean commercially or in?
No, in your test, for example, you said you have tested with SATA, Joy,
Yes.
and all those. So how many, what's the sample size?
Maybe, we'll separate it. At the R&D level, when we were developing, this was tested on thousands of patients in order to get that clinical validation, which we submitted to the FDA. At the commercial level, this is a nascent solution. I wouldn't say that we're doing thousands a day, we're probably doing hundreds a day.
Yes, you.
Maybe just to follow on that, do you see any challenges with the current commercial implementation? Meaning, are people able to complete the test independently? Is language a problem, particularly to older population? Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, so it's a highly visual test and relatively easy to do. A healthy person will do it in 15 to 20 minutes. It's a very visual test with very little language, which also allows us to translate it into multiple languages very, very easily. So currently it's in English, Chinese, Bahasa Indonesia, Bahasa Melayu, Arabic, Hindi, Tamil. We are able to translate it very quickly. We haven't had a lot of problems with people doing it because it's a relatively simple, relatively simple puzzles.
Okay, I'm afraid I'm going to have to draw a line under the question now. It feels like we've enlivened the judges just before tea break. So Yun, Nav, thank you so much for joining us on stage. A big round of applause for them, please. Well, that has been a very exciting and intense start to the day here for InnoMatch 2023.
Right, we're going to be taking a 15-minute break now to give you some time to vote and recharge, right? So stretch your legs, but make sure you also vote for your favorite projects so far using that QR code that you see down there. And so when we return, it's going to be the final 4 finalists, all right? And that's going to be at 10:30 p.m. So it's 10:30 a.m.
I'm coming back in
Looks like we need, I do need that cognitive decline thing as well. 10:30 a.m. Thank you, Tamsin. See you all later.
Thank you.